Thanks for joining us on Tandem Radio for a very special segment, By Design, focused on helping you understand how God designed you so that you may be healthy and productive in fulfilling God's purposes in your life for many years to come. Now let's join our host, health expert and public speaker, Dr. James Proodian.
Hello, welcome to the By Design radio program. My name is Dr. James Proodian of Proodian Healthcare and ProodianHealthcare.com, where health literacy is the key to longevity. And as long as God has us on this side of eternity, my show is designed to educate you and your families to feel better, function better, and live as many quality disease-free years as possible. I've been a public speaker for almost 20 years now, and being on the radio is a little bit unique and different to me. The program was designed to be an educational program, and this week we're going to be getting into just some of the content of the program, and I'm going to outline that for you in a second. We're really going to be focusing today on detoxification, which is the opposite of toxification, and what that means to us. Before I get going, let's start off with the scripture verse I have chosen for the show in general, and I'll say it every week. It's one of my favorites. It's Luke 1:37. For with God, nothing is impossible. The reason I chose that verse is when it comes to our healthcare, no matter if you're in the best shape of your life and your blood reports are all normal and you feel great and you're eating well and you're in tune with your spiritual walk with God and everything's going great, or maybe you're having a rough road right now, you're high cholesterol, or you're a little overweight, or something's going on, you don't know what to do, or you're seeing a doc for it, or you actually have a disease and you're sick. No matter what phase of life we're in, remember, everything through education can be treated. And many of the chronic illnesses that we're up against, like type 2 diabetes, metabolic syndrome, obesity, high blood pressure, are not only treatable but reversible under God's plan and design. So nothing is impossible. We've got to keep that in mind when it comes to the challenges that we're up against every day in what I call the Triad of Health. And the Triad of Health is our physical health, our nutritional health, and our psychological or stress part of our health. So last show, and we'll start off today with what I call the health points of the day, in which I'm going to kind of reiterate what we've done on the previous shows, because to me, this subject matter is cumulative. I know everybody hated that word when we were in college, because if you found out your teacher was giving you a test that was cumulative, it meant more study. But I'll make it easy for you. I'm not going to be testing you on this, but I just like to go back and go through, we talked through the 9 points of functional medicine last time. And I like to think of myself as a connect-the dots kind of doctor whenever I meet a new patient or when I'm speaking to someone, never thinking that as them as a single-dimensional person, looking at the entire being. So let's go through the 9 points. Number 1, how your body rids itself of toxins. Number 2, regulation of hormones. Number 3, our immune system, and how our immune system is our defense system to fight off illness. Number 4, our inflammatory responses. Number 5, our digestion and the absorption of nutrients, how that process is happening. 6th one is going to be the health of the digestive tract. 7 is our structural integrity. 8 is our spiritual walk and our spiritual equilibrium. And number 9, how we produce energy. So if you're taking notes, or if you'd like me to provide those to you in writing, feel free to email me, and I'll give you that information later in the show. And I'll be happy to send those 9 points to you as talking points or health points to our discussions on the radio. And again, that falls under the Triad of Health, because those 9 things fit in the triad, which are physical, nutritional, and psychological. So when we look at connecting those dots in your life, and I have to start off the conversation with why health literacy is so critical, instead of me being on the radio and saying, oh, come buy my book, or buy this new bottle of supplements, or this device that I invented. So many times we hear people selling us things instead of giving you an education. And the education means to apply subject matter into our everyday lives that's usable. So let me go through the Albert Einstein example. Einstein said, if you give me an hour to solve a problem, I'm going to spend 50 minutes discussing it and 10 minutes solving it. So let's talk about toxification. And if all of those books, supplements, and devices that are on the market today work so well, why is our nation so sick? Why is it that 78% of our healthcare expenditures are due to chronic illness, most of them man-made, that defies the laws of design? So we must take the time to learn and implement what the design was. So what is the design of toxification, or let's detoxification? Well, what's amazing about the human body is, and you may have never thought of this, but you have a built-in toxification, or I should say detoxification center. You don't think about it, it happens naturally, but it happens every time you go to the bathroom. So when we urinate, or we move a bowel, or we sweat, we are naturally detoxifying our body. So the human body's detoxification centers are built within us, that every day of our life, our body's ability to excrete toxins is essential to our overall health. And while the question on the table these days is not whether or not there is toxicity, or that are people toxic, it's how toxic are they? So the environmental toxins that are out there, as well as the food toxins and the things that we're exposed to, put a great drain on our liver. Now, the first 4 letters of the word liver are live. You cannot live without a liver. So let's think of our liver as a glass that has a hole in the bottom of it. And I'm holding the glass and I'm pouring water into the glass. So what ends up happening is, if I'm pouring too much water into that glass, it's going to overflow the top. Whereas if the hole in the bottom of the glass is big enough, letting out more water than is coming in, the glass will never overflow. So in our toxification center at the liver, our liver is designed to be not overflowing. Because if it's overflowing, that means that the toxins are going back into the bloodstream and recirculating. So in a healthy liver, toxins come into the liver via the intestines, and these include metabolic end products and chemical pollutants and contaminants, microorganisms, food additives, drugs and medication, alcohol, of course. And in the liver, they undergo what's called phase 1 detoxification, which neutralize these toxins. Now, the remainder of those unneutralized toxins, the design of your human body is so smart that they go right into what's called phase 2 detoxification, which we're taking this toxic substance and we're transforming it into a water-soluble compound. So that water-soluble compound is excreted to your kidneys, where you go to the bathroom, or it's excreted to the gallbladder, where you excrete it. So this is the natural toxification or detoxification pathway in the body. Fat-soluble substances undergo phase 1 and phase 2 detoxification. You're not even thinking about it. The liver is designed to do this, and you're excreting toxins. In an unhealthy liver, the toxins are unable to be detoxified at the speed in which they're brought into the liver. Now, this causes toxins to build up and recirculate in the blood, which contribute to long-term poor health. Now, these unneutralized fats, fat-soluble toxins, can be stored in tissues such as fat, brain, and nervous system. And many times they have a detrimental effect, obviously, to that system because they're toxic to the brain and to the nervous system. And they cause a host of problems, from environmental toxins to, again, pollutants. So the toxic burden, and we think about this as the toxic burden, is the total accumulation of toxins that your body is dealing with at any given time. So these toxins come from a variety of sources, and the toxic exposure actually begins even when the baby is still inside the womb. Various studies have shown that right in the umbilical cord blood of newborn babies, upwards of 287 pesticides, consumer product ingredients, waste materials from burning fuel, gasoline, garbage, etc., has been found in umbilical cord blood. Now, this is essential because we think about our babies and we love them to death and how beautiful they are, but their bodies are they're sterile, and their immune system hasn't really kicked in yet their bodies can be exposed to a lot of man-made toxins. So today's program is to bring to light that what we're exposing our bodies to, was it God's design? Is that in our design? Well, yes, our bodies are designed to have natural defense mechanisms and to undergo phase 1 and phase 2 detoxification. And as the water is being poured into the glass, it's not meant to overflow. So that's a beautiful model for all of us. And if we were living in that kind of environment and eating those types of foods and avoiding the type of pesticides and food additives that accumulate in the body, then we would be living in a more naturally detoxified state. But I hate to say it, I hate to be the burden of bad news, that's not generally the scenario in our society. So as I'm running out of time here, I wanted to start the conversation on toxification, and next week's show we're going to get into toxification further. And the further we get into it, we're going to be talking about exactly what substances are causing this overflow or recirculation of this bad stuff back into the body and what we can do about it, particularly what things we should avoid, and also how our health can be promoted. Again, our bodies are very resilient and we have great potential to reverse a lot of the diseases, particularly the chronic diseases that we're dealing with, by being proactive and being educated. And obviously by having God by our side. So, but first we have to understand the process that's happening to us from a systems biology perspective. And that systems biology that I wanted to start the show with, or start the series of conversations with, is toxification and how to detoxify. So, you've been listening to the By Design radio program, and thank you for joining me, Dr. James Proodian, for this episode. If you'd like more information on me and Proodian Healthcare, please go to ProodianHealthcare.com, which is spelled Proodian, healthcare.com, and feel free to submit any questions you may have for me at the show. Please keep your questions brief. In this upcoming week, do something new for your health and your wellness and your families. Be well and God bless you. And remember, any changes that you can make that are in God's design are positive changes. And those positive changes will have dramatic outcomes and dramatic differences in what you feel, where you function, and how long you live. God bless.
You've been listening to By Design with Dr. James Proodian of Proodian Healthcare. To learn more, visit us at tandemradio.com, that's tandemradio.com, or on Facebook. And don't forget to email us with your questions. We'd love to hear from you. In the meantime, hope you have a healthy week, and we look forward to you joining us next time for more fantastic insights from Dr. James Proodian on By Design, a special production of Tandem Radio.